To be or not to be? That is the question. The famous line from Shakespeare's play, Hamlet. But, as another question would go, did this adaptation live up to the play it's based off of? Today, I'm going to be talking about 1990s Hamlet. So let's start off by just quickly talking about my history with Hamlet. I read Hamlet in high school like a lot of people did. And to be completely honest, I do remember some of Hamlet, but I don't remember all of it. So when I went in to watch this movie, I was a little bit confused at first, which is very uncommon for me while watching movies, to be actually confused. But I was confused when watching this, and then I actually started researching it a little bit more. I'm like, oh, wait a second, it's supposed to be kind of confusing because it's about madness, and the things they're doing is made to make no sense. But yeah, so that's where I'm coming from a little bit, where I know about Hamlet. I've read the book in high school, but like a lot of people, it's been a while. So, as the title suggests, did this movie draw back my memories of reading Hamlet in high school? Let's see. Starting with, let's go over some negatives. I feel like, and again, this is someone who, I haven't read Hamlet in a while, and honestly, after watching this, I'm tempted to just go read Hamlet again. And we'll see. I have some news coming that I'm thinking about doing that I'll keep you guys updated about. But anyways, the point, that's just a side note that I'm not going to talk about in this video. But if you want to hear about that, look forward to the future on this channel. I'm going to be talking about that. Hopefully. Anyways, but the point is that, so some of these criticisms I have might actually just be from the play itself, and I'm criticizing Shakespeare, or it might just be adaptation-wise, they cut out some scenes, and that's why I made it a little bit like, okay, I don't get this. So, people who read Hamlet recently, remember all the details about it, don't get too mad at me if I saying stuff against stuff from this movie. It's been a while. You have to give that to me. It's been a while since I read Hamlet. I think that was in, it may have been 2020, so it's been over close to going on 6 years now, so give me that. Anyways, the point is, so there are a couple of scenes where I'm like, okay, especially at the beginning of the movie, where I'm like, really, you could have had a little bit more there. For example, why did Hamlet go mad? I felt like there was a great idea going on there, but it felt like they had it so Hamlet met the ghost of his dad, and his dad told him what happened, right? And then he starts acting insane and all, and I kind of get it, but it felt like there's a scene mix in between where if I was writing Hamlet, and again, this might actually be in stuff that's actually in the play that was taken out of this movie, but I would have had it. Actually, no, I do remember from the beginning, it begins with him meeting his father, so there's no scenes before that. For the most part. This one actually adds in the stuff where he sees his mom with his uncle and all this different stuff. But so I guess this one does add a little bit to there. But having a little bit of okay, why am I mistrusting my uncle here? Why am I mistrusting the new king? And then his thoughts are going through his head gets oh yeah, his father clears up. Yeah, it's because your uncle killed me. It's that makes sense, right? And then he goes back. And then he just goes insane, but I felt like there was some scenes missing where you could have had it, so you see him trying to figure out some stuff, and he's just the more he's learning into it, the more he's feeling like everything he just heard from his father is just insane and not actually reality, because he does some stuff that's going to push his uncle into confessing a little bit, and his uncle doesn't get it. He doesn't fall into it. And so he's am I going insane here? Was this just a phantom dream that what was this phantom that I saw? Maybe I'm insane. And so it causes him to go insane. Instead, it's he comes back and he's just acting insane. And he's he proves his uncle did it by that whole play he put on. And it's yeah, it makes sense. But I felt like there would have been a time where it would have been nice to have that period where it's him feeling insane because of the fact that he trusts his dad's ghost, but in the same way, he can't trust his mind because he feels like he's going insane. I don't know. I feel like it would make that moment when he actually gets it confirmed, yes, this is actually reality, better, because like you have to understand why he's going insane. Like as someone who loves psychology and how the human like mind gets affected by things around them, I would love to, like, this is a perfect example of a place where it would be fun to see that, you know what I mean, play out. I don't know, it kind of feels a little bit like there's something missing there. But I don't know, again, this might be something that's actually in the play, and I'm just not criticizing this movie as much as I'm just criticizing the play itself. Another little problem I have with the movie is just Hamlet's hair, it's just, it was like, a bowl cut was just not, get it, it's kind of right for the times a little bit, but in the same way, man, it did not look good. I also didn't recognize Mel Gibson. I didn't recognize him in this movie. He plays Hamlet, and I'm like, this guy kind of looks like Mel Gibson, but man, like, not quite. He looks like someone who would get compared to Mel Gibson, but not. Like, I've seen movies, I'm young enough that my mind's Mel Gibson is a little bit older, so I don't remember young Mel Gibson, as some people might. But the point is, I've watched, Braveheart and other older movies of his, so I know what he looks like when he was younger. Just, in this movie, he looks slightly like Mel Gibson, but he looks like someone who's like, oh yeah, this person can get, like, compared to Mel Gibson, but he's not Mel Gibson. But no, he was Mel Gibson, and, I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny, but yeah, his hair in this was kind of, it got on my nerves. That's the first couple scenes I saw him in. But on to the good. Let's just start with just, the costumes were incredible. It found the classic 90s aesthetic for what medieval movies look like, and I thought, it sparked my memory of, like, wanting to get back to writing some of my stories, because I'm like, oh yeah, seeing this medieval movie makes me like, oh yeah, I want to get back to, writing my own stories, and, hoping, like, gets thoughts in my head going because of that. Along with the next movie I'm going to review, Macbeth, which also sparks some memories, and I'll have to talk about Macbeth next week. There's a really cool surprise coming in that video that I know you guys are not going to see coming, unless you guys know me personally, then you might know what I'm talking about, but trust me, you're not going to be able to guess what it is that I'm going to say next week in Macbeth. Yeah, so the costumes were done in this, the acting, incredible, so well done, especially Mel Gibson and Helena Bonham Carter with that new Taylor Swift song that came out called, I think, The Fate of Ophelia it's called. Everyone's obsessed with Hamlet and Ophelia, but they also don't actually understand, like, Swifties don't really understand actually what the story was saying about her and trying to make her into a feminist. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but for any Swifties, hey, I mean, this movie has the character that Taylor Swift based her song off of, kind of, like, nothing like the character that she sings about, but pretty sure it's more accurate to the actual story. But yeah, Helena Bonham Carter did a great job with playing the innocent lady who had a crush on a guy to being, like, insane. Just that those moments of, like, the last moments, scenes of her, brilliantly done. And it's like, it's Helena Bonham Carter. Like, of course she can play insane characters. Also, I know I don't really say anything like this in any of my reviews, but I feel like just because it was in my mind so much while watching this, I have to, like, voice it. But as I was watching this movie, my mind kept going to, wow, Helena Bonham Carter was hot back then. But anyways, the point is, yeah, her acting in this was incredible. And then, Mel Gibson's portrayal of Hamlet, just, you could tell he was having so much fun. And, like, just playing this character. This isn't something I'm going to talk about next week when I'm reviewing Macbeth, but I just want to, like, point out something about this movie that's good is that, you have to understand, with movies versus, like, plays, there's a difference in the acting. I was once almost in a movie. I can talk about that story someday, but, like, I was almost in a movie once, and then it got canceled. But I've been in plays before, and so I know firsthand that there's a difference between acting in movies and acting in plays. There's a difference between the sword fighting in movies versus sword fighting in plays. There's all these different differences. The big difference you have with movies and plays is the fact of in a movie, you get close up, get dramatic, and it's all in the face. Well, for a play, it's all about the movement. Like in a play, if you are angry, you get freaking angry, and you punch. In a movie, you get angry, you get really freaking angry. See, like it's in the face when you show that. When you're laughing in a movie, you can like you can still like laugh really hard, but in a play, you go because people in the audience can hear you. But they also need that dramaticness. A lot of times in plays, you're going to have the actors, even the male actors, wear makeup because you need to like draw out their face a little bit. But with a movie, you don't need that because you have close-ups. Sometimes close-ups can be annoying, but like the point is, this movie does a great job with like, yes, you have it in movie form, but it still has some of that acting of a play, because really that's something about Shakespeare. And again, I'm going to talk about this next week with Macbeth. But that's something about Shakespeare that's and about plays that's important when they're adaptation-wise, is a play is written different than a movie. You can't turn a play into a movie and then use the same lines. Like, you can't do that. It's not written that way. It's written to be more dramatic. So if you, like, the characters in this movie had to act kind of tone it down a little bit so it works in a movie, but in the same way they had to do it kind of, to make the words and the lines work properly, you have to act kind of play-like. You have to be a stage actor somewhat to play these characters. And that's going to be a problem we're going to run into with movies like Macbeth, which turns into a dramatic movie, keeps the same lines, but the lines come off wrong because they're turning it into a very well done movie with acting like it's in a movie and none of the dramatic scenes of a play. Like, you have to have that crazy action of a play. You have to have that for it to work with these lines. In a play, you would have the dramatic, how art, but I am that. I don't know, like, I'm just saying jarbish, but if you were just saying in that movie, like, you might be more like, thou art, but thou art. Like, it's not that in the movie, like, the acting in that movie is bad. It's the fact that those lines don't work. And that's something that this movie does really well with, of actually having that good balance of, it's a movie, but it's based off of a play. These lines are based off of what would be saying in a play. They act like they're in a play. So, anyways, that's a little rant for you on, plays versus movies, and why when your adaptation is of a play, you need to still have that play stage acting somewhat in there to work with these lines that were made for a play. Anyways, yeah, so would I recommend this movie to people? 100%. It was a really well done movie. Did it get me remembering more of the play, of the actual play when I read it? Kind of a little bit, but honestly, I'm gonna have to read it again because I don't know which stuff they cut out. Whether the thing that's being hypocritical of, or actually just because of the play itself that had this. I'll have to read it again because it's been going on 6 years now. I'm forgetting stuff, and I really need to read this book again because, yeah, there's a lot of things I don't remember. But anyways, if you guys have read the book recently, you guys can leave comments below of the stuff I mentioned, if those are actually in the play or not, or if no, those are not a part of the play too. If you guys haven't watched this, I recommend watching this. I recommend, if you can, pick up the play. One handy thing I had when I was reading it is I had, the copy I was using was, one side was the original Shakespeare text, and the other one was an English translation. Of course, they're both in English, but turn it into comprehensive English so that you can understand better. I chose to mainly just focus on the left side of the page because that's the side that had it in Shakespeareish, and I felt like that, I don't know, there was a weird part of me that actually found that was easier to read than English. I can talk about that on a different video, not on this channel, but just about my history with struggling with getting into reading and all. for some reason my dyslexic brain understood and was able to catch up on the craziness that is Shakespeare more than the English that was on the other side. But anyways, that's a whole rant onto a different thing. But tell me your thoughts below about this. Again, look forward to that review for Macbeth. I promise you there are some stuff in that you are not going to expect to come in. And if you bet me wrong, click on that video when it comes out. Thank you guys for watching. This has been the Movie Night Reviewer. Peter Wary, signing off.